So I took this trade at the time I was going to write my practical exams, and you know what? Tension has already built up naturally, but I took the trade anyway. And what happened next was really devastating. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 mistakes that I've made and my biggest lesson from these mistakes and how you can apply it in your trading journey to help you out, right? So stay tuned and I'll share this with you. So the very first one, I wouldn't say it's that much of a mistake, but a risk that I personally took upon myself, right? So this is it. I moved my money from crypto to Forex trading. Now apparently I was fortunate enough to hop onto Ethereum at the very early stage when it was trading around $100 and $200. I bought Ethereum at that time and I kept it. So when the price of Ethereum started shooting up, I began to make some profit, and just like any other person, I was happy, right? I was happy that I was making money. So I tried to move that money, part of that money, to the Forex trading game and also trade, since I've been trading the Forex already. So I want to move the money into the Forex trading and also build it up using Forex trading. Then after that, I'll push it back to the crypto again. All right, so that was the very first thing that I did. It's not a mistake, but actually a risk, because if I were to make profit out of it, eventually I'll move it back to my crypto assets, which is an investment I was in, right? It was investment. So I'll probably move the money back and build it up, and it will be me accumulating wealth in the long run. Okay, so it wasn't a mistake, but actually a risk that I took, which didn't go well, just like any other risk out there, right? So the next mistake that I made was I was blind to the other side of the coin. This is the fact. I took this trade, set my stop loss and set my TP, take profit, right? I set these parameters in place, but what happened next was that even though I set this stop loss for myself and the take profit, I was only focused on the take profit, looking at the amount of money that I'm going to make when my TP hits, forgetting about the money that I'm going to actually lose when my stop loss hits. I've totally forgotten about it. Like, I was too much focused onto the TP rather than the stop loss. And it is like this. When you put it in a typical environment to explain it, it will be like, I'm expecting too much from something which has not happened yet. It's like counting my chicks before they hatch, right? So if you put it down, that's how it's going to sound. Okay, I was too much expectant of my TP rather than considering the stop loss as well. And just like any other coin out there, a coin, it has two sides. So there's a positive and a negative aspect of it. So I was too much focused on the positive aspect of my trade, and that's made me to forget about the other side, which is the stop loss, what I'm actually going to lose if my stop loss gets hit. That was my mistake that I made. Okay, so you as a trader, when you are trading, don't focus only on the profit that you are going to make. The profit will actually deceive you, because in my case, I was trading, and if you look at the profit, the amount of money that I was going to make, all right, my TP, if it hit the amount of money that I'm going to make, trust me, it was something massive. It was something really massive. Like, I'll be the happiest person on earth that particular moment, because I'll be writing my exams and my TP getting hit, and I'll be making a huge sum of money at that time. Then it's a win-win game for me. All right, it's going to be a win-win game for me. But unfortunately, that didn't happen at all. And look, it was sad. All right, it was sad. So that was my second mistake that I made, because I was focused onto the positive rather than focusing both on the positive and the negative aspect of the trade that I took. Now the third mistake that I made, you'll be surprised I made this mistake anyway. I was constantly moving my stop loss. Like, who does that? After the trade, I asked myself, why did I even do that? Guys, this is a mistake you shouldn't be making in trading. All right, set your stop loss, let your stop loss be there. Set your TP, let your TP be there. Do not be moved to touch it. But I was rather doing the opposite. I was moving my TP just because if you look at the previous mistake that I made a mistake number 2. I was focused on the profit. So when the trade was going against me, I was still focused on the profit, and I was believing that the trade is going to return back and go into profit. So when it gets into profit, I'll be making money that will even compensate for the loss that I'm running in. You understand? That was what I was thinking, but that wasn't the case. The trade keeps going against me, and what I kept doing was, instead of me to leave my stop loss in place, guys, instead of me to leave my stop loss in place, I still keep moving it further till like $600 was gone like that. And I was like, no, did I just do this to myself right now? Because I was totally overtaken by my emotions. You know, the emotions play a lot in this market. So the emotion just took over me, and I was doing things outside of my plan. My plan was to set TP and stop loss, and those things were really in place. But when the emotions get in, I threw those things out of the window, and I kept moving my stop loss, and the trade kept going against me, and that's how it went. So these are my 3 mistakes that I've made that led to the loss of this in the Forex game. The first one was actually a risk by moving my capital from crypto to Forex. That was a risk purely, and the second one was the fact that I actually focused on the one side of the coin, leaving the other side blank. Right, I was so much expectant. I was kind of counting my chicks before they hatch. And the third one was the fact that I kept moving my stop loss further and further. That was because emotions jumped in. Now, I want to share with you one big lesson that I've learned from this, and how you can apply it in your trading, and it's definitely going to help you, right? So the lesson that I've learned was the fact that if you set rules for yourself, try to obey the rules. So apparently for the Ethereum aspects, when I bought into it, I told myself, and even told a friend of mine, that when it hits 1k, all right, when it hits $1,000, that's when I'm going to take my profit out of it, my first profit out of Ethereum. That's when I'm going to make my first withdrawal out of Ethereum. But look, along the line, Ethereum hasn't hit $1,000 at that time, and I was ready to withdraw money from it and put into Forex. That was me going against my own rules, and it went bad, really bad, because the money that I took from the crypto brought into the Forex, I lost it. So yeah, it went against me. So when you set your rules, try to obey your rules. Okay, you set the rules, so try to obey them. And the second aspect of it is in the main Forex game, I set my rules. My rule was I set CP and my stop loss. But why did I keep moving my stop loss? That was the big question that you have to ask me, and I also have to ask myself as well. Because if I'm to kind of obey my rules, I wouldn't have touched my stop loss, and that would be perfect, so that the amount of money that I will probably be losing on that trade will be minimal compared to what I lost, right? So guys, this is short, and this is how I lost the money in a Forex game and my lesson out of it. And I hope this do help you out there as you are starting your journey in a Forex game, and you've picked a lesson or two from it. And don't forget, when it comes to trading, your psychology is something you shouldn't joke with. Okay, your psychology must be strong, right? So this is Godsway here, and peace out.